How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to the second installment of One Deck, One Month. Obviously, the first time around, we played Infernoble Nights, ended up going 15-9 across 6 locals tournaments over the course of 1 month. And this time around, we're switching decks, and some of you might already know what we're playing. But for this month, the deck of choice is Speedroids, and we are going to try to go as fast as we possibly can and do as well as we possibly can. And I feel pretty confident in this deck because unlike Infernoble Night, this deck I have a lot of experience outside of just this 1 month of playing it. I've been playing this deck on and off for several months as opposed to Infernoble Night, so got a little more experience and we've got that sort of like surprise factor working in our favor. And right now I'm doing some play testing with my friend Adam here.
What's up, guys?
And we've been play testing for quite a few hours. I've been just going back and forth against his Zodiac Dogmaticalist. He just dropped the Invoked engine, so why did you do that?
I love it. Because all the Zoo cards are not bricks, while when you draw Invocation, it sucks if you don't see Alistair, or if you don't see any draw cards to get there. While you draw a Zoo Monster or a Tenki, and you're just like, wow, I can play my deck, I can make a Trident, I can actually have fun.
Or even get to something like Megaclops.
Yeah, going to Megaclops, you see Barrage in any Zoo or any Tenki. It's great, and then you can just follow it up in a Deer Servant and just blow your opponent out.
I will say, I do, after all the playtesting, I do like the Zoo version better than
so much better. I'm enjoying it way more than I did the Invoked version too.
Yeah, so we've been also testing quite a few things with this list, made quite a few changes. We've tried Parallel Exceed, we tried the Wind Tenyi Spirit. Both the cards are okay, but I just don't think they're needed. I thought the Tenyi Monster would be good for playing like through Nibiru, but like Dinotherium and Hasty Horse literally can do the same thing. And like they aren't dead draws later on like the Tenyi Monster could be if you've already got an established board.
It's not worth playing those.
And another card that we've tried that we've been really liking is the Forbidden Lance, because this card low-key is very good with this deck, helps play through Impermanence, Dark Lord and more, Forbidden Drop if they don't discard a spell, Outlet Traps, you name it. This card in testing has proved to be very, very good so far and will probably stay in the main deck.
Absolutely crazy tech. If you guys should definitely look into that card if you have not before.
Yeah, and we just built a side deck consisting right now of 3 Lancia for dinos in our local area, and of course a few other things. Drone Lockbird, because we can search it off Win the Wind Medium. Dark Lord no more, 3 copies, 2 Cosmic, 1 Duster, 3 Goes and Match, and a red Reboot.
To steal the game.
Absolutely, and we're going to just play some more standard matches, timed 40 minutes, and we're just going to play till we're blue in the face, I guess, and we'll see what happens.
We'll go from there. Let's go.
So one thing I want to bring up here real quick is like my main reason as to why I picked Speedroids for this month. The first reason being is I think this is a really sort of underrated rogue strategy, and it's just like a lot of fun to play in general, and it's a deck I've literally actually never had the chance to take to a locals tournament, so this will be my actual first time with the deck in a tournament setting, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing the results that I get with this deck and be able to compare it with everything else. But the testing was good, learned a lot of things. The deck is pretty much 99% set in stone, except for maybe 2 or 3 flex spots that I still need a little time to decide what will take up those spots for this Saturday's tournament. All right, welcome to Thursday. In just 2 days, we will be showing up to locals with Speedroids, and we will be playing that deck exclusively there for 1 month's time. And I am very, very excited, specifically based on the results of last night's testing, which went great. We did a ton of open-handed testing, and it was just so valuable because I learned a lot about the deck, was able to identify a few problems and how exactly to fix them, but we still got lots of room for improvement also. And maybe someday in the future, I'll make a separate video in regards to just play testing, because there's so much to be said about it. I feel like a lot of people in particular do kind of play test incorrectly for the most part, but just the open-handed testing I just find so much more valuable and so much more worthwhile when it comes to actually trying to learn something and fix something about your deck. But before we go and talk specifically about those details, when we go and do the deck profile here in just a moment, I do want to show you guys a quick little update regarding the studio. So as you can see here, the table is a little messy, so I apologize for that. But All the little condenser mics are in now for the podcast. I've got 3 guest mics and, of course, my mic over at my desk. So now we can have up to 4 people all mic'd up for the podcast. Very excited to film the next episode, and thank you to everybody that checked out the previous episode and that showed all the support on that. It means a lot, and I'm glad you liked it, and be looking forward to the next episode when the audio quality should be and will be much, much better than the last one. So let's go ahead and jump into that deck profile. Okay, so here we are in the deck profile segment of the video. I have this deck sorted out into starters, extenders, defensive cards, etc., just because this is the first profile for this series with Speedroids, and I wanted to take a moment, a little bit longer, to go over the build in detail, to kind of get all the thoughts out on the table. But I also don't want it to take forever because we got a lot of extra footage coming after this. So we have our starter cards here, consisting of 3 Win the Win Medium, 3 Marble Machine, 1 Terror Top, and 3 Hasty Horse, and 3 Dinotherium. Those are our 13 starter cards, which is exactly where we want to be with a 40/39 card deck. Obviously, our best high-quality starters being these 7 right here. I wish we had more, but unfortunately we do not. But Hasty Horse and Dinotherium will suffice for now because they serve a couple of purposes. One, their levels are not bad for making synchro plays if they are joined with a tuner. Secondly, they do make a wide range of cards in the deck live without committing a normal summon. Cards like Car Turbo, cards like Taketomborg, cards like Rubber Band Plane. So those cards are great in that aspect, even if they're not as good as Win, which is basically just Terror Top or whatever Win monster we need it to be, Marble Machine or Terror Top. So now we'll go into our extenders here. We have first and foremost 3 Speedroid Car Turbo, 3 Taketomborg, 1 Rubber Band Plane, 3 copies of Speed Recovery, and 1 Monster Born. And then we have double Yo-Yo and double Den Daiko Duke. So those are our extender cards: 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're right at about the max end of our extender cards that we want to be at. Obviously, our superior extenders would be that of Car Turbo, Taketomborg, Rubber Band Plane, Recovery, and Reborn. So our superior extenders drastically outweigh that of our additional extenders, which is where we want to be. We want to have more of those. Obviously, Yo-Yo and Duke are great extenders, but of course, they take a little bit more setup than the other cards we had listed beforehand. Then we have in our, I guess, our reactive defense, our responsive defense cards that we have to use in response to a certain situation. We have 3 Ghost Mourner, Moonlit Chill, and 2 copies of 3 Tactics Talent. So we have about 5 of those defensive cards. They aren't as great as Chainable Defense, of course, because we can use those at any given point, but these cards are still fantastic. Ghost Mourner is good, especially in time with that little added burn damage. It's also a wind, so we can use it to start our combos if need be. And 3 Tactical Talents is just great for this deck. I just don't think it's a 3 of currently. I found that 3 just clogs a little too much, and sometimes, like, seeing this card that often, like, it has 3 fantastic effects. I will not argue with that, but it doesn't do a lot to directly influence our strategy. It's really more so of like a bomb type card where if we see it, we can drastically change, who has control of the game essentially at that point. Then we have our Chainable Defense. We have 6 Chainable Defensive cards. We have Call by the Grave, Forbidden Lance, and 2 copies, and 3 Infinite Impermanence. So there's one thing I want to say about hand traps. We do have to play a lot of those this format, so that does kind of alter deck building, core basics, because you do have to sacrifice, unfortunately, utility cards for these hand traps. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time playing against combo in today's meta. So unfortunately, like I said, we do have to sacrifice a bit of utility for these hand traps. But Impermanence is one of those cards that it's fine going first. It's great going second. It's good as a 6th card going second. So it's just all around a fantastic card. And I think it makes, a lot of sense to me to have this card in here. It's a no-brainer. Forbidden Lance, we talked about this early in the video. We were gassing it up quite a bit. But this card, I love it. It's so good. It stops Impermanence, which obviously Call by the Grave and Tactics Talent cannot do anything about Impermanence. And it helps the deck greatly. Like I said, playing through those cards, we often struggle to put up Spell and Trap Interruption. So anytime there would be a Spell or Trap interaction with our main boss monster that we're putting out, like obviously Crystal Wing or Raptite or Kite Drake, you know, those cards can't really defend themselves from spells and traps, so Lance helps to sort of pick up on that end. But it's also good against control matchups. It's good against Eldritch, Dogmatica, you know, just any back row heavy strategy where we might need to play through back row stuff. So I just love this card all around. And sometimes it can buy you an extra turn by dropping a monster they control to, you know, by 800 attack. And it might not seem super relevant all the time, but in some cases it can literally buy you a turn, you know, to try to make a comeback play. I already talked about Imperm. Our one engine requirement for the deck is the Mecha Phantom Beast Warbler. I was running 2, but I kind of just wanted to get away from the philosophy of like, I'll play 2, so if I draw 1, I still have 1 in deck. I want to just play 1 so that my chances of drawing the card entirely are just lower overall. And then last but not least, the one sort of placeholder card, the Upstart Goblin, so we can play 39 cards. And now I know what you're saying, like Upstart with a Garnet in the main deck. Yeah, it doesn't really make like a difference though. Like it's not really a big issue or a concern of mine because the number of cards that we could draw over Warblerin, you know, it just greatly outweighs Warblerin. Like we could draw literally any of these other great extenders, or we could draw Warblerin. So drawing a good card is obviously much more in our favor than drawing that of this one up here. So I'm completely fine with playing it. The extra deck, we have the one Kite Drake, the triple Crystal Wing. You do have to play the 3 Crystal Wing. We have the one Hama the Conquering Bow. This card is the throwaway level 8 for our Rubber Band Shooter, but its effect can come up greatly in times where we've either banished our Chambara or just trying to secure game with a level 8 Synchro. Clearwing Fast Dragon. This is because there are some plays where if we do open Warblerin, or we do have to default to the old school banish a 7 to go for a double yo-yo type play, to commit the double normal summon. Having a Clearwing Fast Dragon in the extra deck is great because you will need a level 7 Synchro to go into, and you obviously have to banish a level 7 for that play to even happen in the first place. So having an additional level 7 is what I went with. I dropped the Stardust Charge Warrior for the time being. 1 Adamancipator Risen Raptite for our most accessible level 6 interruption. Hagoita is just mandatory. Chambara, mandatory, steals games, and has great synergy with Card Turbo, I found out recently, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished Speedroid cards and add it right back to your hand. So I love this card. Totem Bird and Levier, just fantastic rank 3s. We have a lot of rank 3 access. So these cards are great. Auroradon, you know, obviously this being like the brilliant fusion engine, you know, and this being our Garnet. So it's a pretty good engine if you ask me. Totally worth playing the one of Warblerin. And for those that don't know what this card does, basically we can tribute one other Mecha Phantom Beast monster we control, and it increases its level by 1. So we pop 2 tokens off Auroradon to summon this, and then this pops Auroradon or tributes it away, and it goes up to level 2. We still have a token left over. Gives us instant Hagoita access still, just like O-Lion. And then obviously the double Rubber Band Shooter, just because it's you have to play 2. I think 2 is a solid number. One thing I do want to point out, Reborn and Call by the Grave are kind of flex spots for me right now. If anything, they might become 2 other hand traps. I'm thinking Droll and Lockbird. I'm thinking Ash Blossom. I'm not entirely sure. Side deck, triple Lancia, double Droll, 3 Dark Ruler, 2 Cosmic, 1 Duster, triple Evenly, and these are actually triple Gozen Match is what they should be, because I think Gozen Match is a really solid first turn floodgate. I think this deck needs a little bit more going first hate, and I think Gozen Match is a great card to serve that role, specifically because we are always playing wind monsters. We're always locking ourselves into wind, and it can be a pretty oppressive trap for our opponent to deal with. But yeah, that's the deck profile. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into some combos. Alright, so here is our first combo. This is going to be with just Terra Top and Speed Recovery, so don't mind the Hasty Horse, Imperm, and Ash. But this is literally just any way to get to Terra Top and any way to have access to Recovery. Recovery, I believe, could also be like Marble Machine. I think it could also be like Monster Reborn or Car Turbo itself, or even Tekka Tomborg. I'm not entirely sure. But just know it doesn't always have to be Speed Recovery in this case. So what we're going to do here is start with a Terra Top. Obviously, that is going to search us Marble Machine or Talk if we already have it. Marble will add us talk here. We're going to link into Rubber Band Shooter, banish an 8 to reveal both the Rubber Band Plane and the Car Turbo. Now, it doesn't matter here what we get. It doesn't matter, really. And we're getting the Rubber Band Plane here on board to be able to have it as extra link fodder to be able to go into the Auroradon. We're going to tag out for Duke, though, and now we're going to link into a bigger plane, and that is going to summon out 3 tokens, and we're going to pop 2 of them to go ahead and get that Warblerin out of the deck. That's going to send off the Auroradon. It's now level 2. Here comes Hagoita. First Crystal Wing. Recovery for that Terratop or any other level 3 Speedroid in the grave that you can access while still being able to use Duke. We're going to make Leviair. We're going to get that Duke back into our grave and alongside Car Turbo as well. So we do have the double Crystal Wing, the recycled Duke, and 2 hand traps in hand, at least for this specific scenario. So yeah, it's a very efficient combo. So next turn, we do have Duke in grave, we do have Speedroid, or we do have Speed Recovery. So that means if we even have no cards in our hand and we're top decking, we still have access to grab Terratop back if they wipe our entire field, because Terratop will hit the graveyard again with the Leviair. We have access to threaten a Terratop play and threaten either a Crystal Wing or a Kite Drake, or Hama the Conquering Bow if we didn't already banish it. So we have essentially no cards in our hand if we were to have no cards, but we essentially still have like 2 cards in our hand in our graveyard. That's one of the things I love about this deck, is it can come back like crazy. And it's like one reason I've always considered possibly playing maybe 1 Foolish Burial and 1 Foolish Burial Goods to be able to dump a card like Speed Recovery to the grave and instantly add back any card that we might not have gotten off of our Rubber Band Shooter, whatever it may be. So that's just one idea I had there. The other combo, this is basically just showing something you can do, a little cool play I found it if you open Warblerin, because I wanted a backup play. This is kind of the best case scenario. You do need Car Turbo in hand, or I believe Take Tomborg as well will suffice, or maybe this could be even Speed Recovery or Monster Born, so I don't believe it has to be that card exactly. But we're going to start with Dinotherium. Normal summon Warblerin here, and we're going to synchro for Hagoita and use the other effect of Warblerin we don't usually get to use, because each of its you can only use one of its effects per turn. It can either increase its level, or if it's sent to the graveyard of the summon of a machine synchro, you can summon a level 3 token. So we're going to use that now, and that's going to get us right into Rubber Band Shooter. We have to banish a 7 here to get Yo-Yo. Now, there is a lucky and unlucky path. I believe if you don't get the Yo-Yo, you just miss out on the Fast Dragon. So it's not like the end of the world. You can still get 2 interruptions with this, but the lucky route where we do get Yo-Yo is the best case scenario, obviously. We're going to additional normal summon the Yo-Yo to bring back Terratop, grab Take Tomborg here. That's going to tag out for Duke. We're going to synchro now into Raptite, summon out the Car Turbo, summon out the Hagoita here, and then synchro for Crystal Wing, and then we're going to Duke for Car for that Clearwing Fast Dragon. And here we essentially have 5 interruptions in hand: Raptite, Fast Dragon, Crystal Wing, Imperm, and Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. Or it could be like a copy of Droll, copy Ash, Forbidden Lance, 2 impermanents, you name it. We're locked and loaded here, and that is with opening the Garnet of the deck alongside that level 4 monster, Dinotherium. And that was one reason specifically I thought about maybe playing the Tenyi Spirit Nahata instead, because it can allow for this play to happen more frequently, but that's really only if we open our worst case scenario here, so I think I'll just keep Hasty Horse for the time being. Yeah, that's it. Those are the combos. That's the deck profile. I'll update you guys if anything happens now in between locals. Otherwise, we're heading out, and I'm very excited to see how this deck does, man. I'm so excited. This Arceus and Dialga and Volvia.
Yeah, it's like this one right here. Yeah, 15.
Shiny, expensive field.
You're the best. Yeah. Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
Alright, Locals is done, and I gotta say it went way better than I expected to, especially with our first time playing Speedroids here. We were the round 4 feature match, and we'll go over that obviously in more detail in a moment, but let's go home and get some food and get you guys a tournament report. Alrighty, we are back and we are ready for this tournament report. So we played 4 rounds, obviously. Our first round was against that of Megalith. I played against my good friend Johnny. And in game 1, I go first, open win, Duke, double Imperm, and a speed recovery. I ended up ending on the double Crystal Wing with the recycled Duke through the Leviair, and of course the 2-set Imperm. So I'm feeling very good. Our first turn, our first game with Speedroids at Locals, we end on the double Crystal Wing Leviair play. We pulled it off. Of course, we were uninterrupted. No hand traps, but we still pulled it off, so it felt good that I didn't screw anything up. So he starts with the preparation of rights, since he was playing Megalith, adds the Chalice Slime, then uses it, discards the Magician of Black Chaos Max. So I was a little glad we won the die roll. We didn't get FTK'd. But he tries to summon the Talismandra off the Chalice Slime. Talismandra attempts to activate. My first Crystal Wing says no to that. He tries to use Researcher. I have to negate that with my other Crystal Wing. And then after that, he summons, I believe, a Ophiel and tries to use the search effect of it, and I hit it with an Imperm, and lo and behold, that's just enough, and he ends up scooping right then and there. And then we move to game 2, where unfortunately he did not open well at all. I believe he summons full, and then summons another full with full and sets to Megalith unformed and passes. And then on my turn, I go for the basically just a rubber band shooter play. I banish a Raptite and get Duke to my hand. I was trying to get Teke Tomborg, but I didn't get lucky enough because I already had Car Turbo. But either way, I summon Car Turbo, summon Plane, and then proceed to summon Kite Drake. The board wipe goes through, but he does chain both of his copies of Unformed onto my Kite Drake, so it is dropped by 1,000. I swing in for 2k and pass. From there, he goes ahead and just passes, and then he passes it back to me. I normal summon the Yo-Yo, bring back the Terratop, and that's just enough for him, and he scoops, and he did not open well at all, unfortunately. So we are 1-0 moving into round 2. Now, in round 2, we ended up playing against Fluffle Frightfur. I did win the die roll here. I go first, search Terratop through win, get into Rubber Band Shooter, and he has a Gamma for it. But I'm feeling okay, so I actually end up opening a copy of Speed Recovery as well, and I target my Rubber Band Shooter because it'll be an easier way to get into the Auroradon play, which I was trying to go for, but he has a DD Crow for that as well. So unfortunately, I'm just forced to pass with a Imperm set and an Ash in hand. He isn't able to do much after I Ash his copy of Patchwork. And then I believe I have an Imperm for one of his other monsters. But next turn, I'm able to put the double Crystal Wing on board. I use Car Turbo to boost everything up. I believe I swing over like a Fluffle Dolphin or something, and then swing in directly for 38. He can't do anything after that, and he just scoops, and we go into game 2. Game 2, I believe, was the worst hand I opened up the entire tournament. I believe I just had like double Ash, Imperm, Rubber Band Plane, and like something else. I can't remember exactly what it was. But he opens up not so great either. The game kind of grinds out to the point where like he makes a Verte Anaconda, dumps Super Poly, changes my only Crystal Wing to Dark, and fusions away with it, summons Chimera Rafflesia, and just swings in for a game aplenty. And then moving into game 3, I go first. I believe I end on double Crystal Wing with Ghost Mourner in hand. He tries super hard to play through it, and keep in mind, time is also running down. It gets to the point, I've got double Crystal Wing and a Ghost Mourner in hand, and this Ghost Mourner is super relevant because he ends up summoning the Frightfur Sabertooth with 4 materials. And I had previously Lancey-ed him a turn before because I knew he had the Frightfur Fusion. Hindsight, I should have held it for the Frightfur Fusion, so he would have to have burned that card. So I almost kind of played myself with that play. I should let him use the resource, but it is what it is. So he goes Fright for Fusion for 4, and then he summons the Sabertooth and tries to pop 4 cards. And he tries to chain block my Crystal Wings, but luckily I have Ghost Mourner in hand, and it's just like Valor, it can break the chain links, which ends up being super relevant because I get to keep my Crystal Wings, don't have to use their effects. Then he tries to use, I think, Wings Engrave. I negate that. He tries to use the Edgemp Sabers. He stacks for cost. He has no cards in hand. I negate that. And then he still has 2 monsters on board, and he goes into Verta Anaconda, and I completely slipped my mind that he could go into that still. He ends up going for... he links away the Sabertooth, so he did take the 19. So now he's below me in life. He pays another 2k, even further below. I think he's at like 51 to my 8k. And he sends Super Poly, fuses away one of my Crystal Wings, summons Starving Venom, but time is called at that point. Hindsight's 2020. I should have held the other Crystal Wing negate for the Verta Anaconda, because that just would have been game outright at that point. But we end up taking that match 2-1. And then we move to round 3. And let me tell you guys about round 3. Of course, who do I play round 3? My friend Adam. You guys saw him at the beginning of this video. He's playing Invoked, or not Invoked, it's Zoo Dogmatica. So I win the die roll, and my hand is very subpar. You want to know how I know it was subpar? Because at the start of my turn by normal summoning Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, following that up with Teketambor going into Duke, going into Rubber Band Shooter, and he's got Effect Valor, and I'm forced to just pass there after setting, I believe, a copy of Impermanence. But it's just not enough. He's able to go into, I believe he's trying to go for the Megaclops, but luckily I have I think I have like an Imperm or a Ghost Mourner or something for his Chalk 9, so I'm able to shut that down, but his advantage just starts to snowball, and I just lose game 1 pretty quickly. We go to game 2, where I go first. I'm able to put up double Crystal Wing with Leviair without going the Link route, which ended up being 100% the move because he had 2 Ghost Ogres in his hand that he was just not able to use because I did not go the Link route. So it's a very good thing that I memorized that combo and try to go for it as often as possible because it is resilient to hand traps and it's not as vulnerable to them. But that game, I'm able to, like, after the Crystal Wing, he's able to, like, clear them, because I think he did have, like, a droplet plate or something. But he's running low on resources. I summon a Kite Drake, negate his entire field, and he, like, has to use, like a Trident or something, and on something else, which is not optimal. But either way, I'm able to get Kite Drake with Chambara, with a Car Turbo play, and that's just an OTK. So we move to game 3. Where he goes first. This game actually kind of did grind a little bit back and forth, but it did come down to me making a slight mistake, and I'm totally okay with this one because it's just me not knowing the card enough, and that card is Fleur-de-Lis, because he uses Fleur-de-Lis and on a Totem Bird, and I had a Ghost Mourner in my hand, and I wasted the Ghost Mourner on the Fleur-de-Lis thinking it would stop the negate effect, but it does not, because Fleur negates the card while it's in hand. Little did I know, unfortunately. So I messed up there because he eventually got I think it was a Barrage that got him Rat, and the Rat completely got him into Megaclops, which was so unfortunate. Now, I did top deck a Car Turbo, and I did have a Triple Tactics talent in hand as well. So I used Duke to summon the Car Turbo. I'm trying to bait a Trident. Battle phase, attempt to attack the Trident. He takes the bait, pops the Car Turbo. I use Triple Tactics talent. I can either take his, his Megaclops, summon out my Totem Bird from the grave, attach his Trident to it, but he still gets the Megaclops in the end phase. My only way out was to hope I drew the right cards. I did draw Imperm, and I drew another Car Turbo, so unfortunately there's nothing I can do there. My only way out of that would have been to, like, make a Kite Drake and, like, Imperm his his Megaclops and, like, try to out it that way. But I just don't have an out for the Megaclops, and he takes that game fair and square. And we move into round 4, which is the feature match. So let's go ahead and take a look at the footage. Alrighty, so here we are in round 4. I'm playing against my friend Nick. My current record is 2-1, so we need to stay 2-1 if we want to secure that store credit. And we're starting things off with Win, and we grab Terratop, and we're just off to the races. So Terratop grabs Marble Machine. I've already got Teketambor in hand, so I just go ahead and grab Yo-Yo for a follow-up for next turn. And I believe I also have Car Turbo in hand as well, so my hand is pretty stacked. I decide to go for the no link route since I just don't need it and it's more safe that way, especially since he has a copy of Impermanence in his hand. So we go ahead and use Speed Recovery here, bring back the Car Turbo, go for Raptite, and then finish everything off with another Crystal Wing. So we end with double Crystal Wing and Raptite. So a very, very strong board here in turn 1. And he is debating whether or not he wants to commit to this board, you know, keep his hand and his deck sort of unknown. He does have Junk Forward in hand, so as a Goki deck, it's not such a bad opening, I don't think, but I think he just wanted to save the surprise so I could side blindly going into game 2 here. But the deck just performed like absolute clockwork there, and yeah, he goes ahead and scoops, and we just go right into game 2. Now, some pretty unfortunate things happen here. My friend bricks so bad, he's forced to just set one and pass. You guys will see this feature match in more depth on the channel later, but he set one's passes. I go for Duke, and I go for Teke Tomborg here, and he does have the Ash, so I just go right into battle phase and swing for 1,000 with the Dendendaiko Duke and pass back to him. He top decks Red Eyes Black Dragon, which is so unfortunate considering he already has Dark Magician in hand, so I start with Dinotherium. The mandatory effect activates, and he goes ahead and uses the Gamma there just to keep card advantage off my field, but luckily I do have Speed Recovery for the Take Tomborg, tag that out for Car Turbo, go into Rubber Band Shooter, and I go ahead and use its effect here to banish a 7, so I'm trying to get lucky and go for that standard classic Yo-Yo Terror Top play, and I do get the Yo-Yo, so that's going to bring back Terror Top. Go for Car Turbo here, and then I go ahead and go right into Auroradon, summon 3 tokens, tribute off 2 for Warblerin, tribute 1 for Warblerin to become a level 2, and I go for the Hagoita, summon out the Car Turbo there from Duke, and go for 1 Crystal Wing, go for Leviair, and then go for the second Crystal Wing. So feeling pretty good there, swinging for about 3k, pass it back to him, and he just scoops because his hand was just so terrible. So we end up finishing 3-1 with our first time playing Speedroids. Alright, so that pretty much sums it up for this week's episode of One Deck, One Month featuring Speedroids, and I wanted to give you guys the up-to-date list as we head into week 2. The only change I managed to make was dropping the 2 Ashes in the main deck, and I cut Called By and Monster Born 4 of those, but I think going forward, we're going to add 2 Drone Lockbird to the main deck, because this card really just wasn't bad every time I was able to resolve it, even against that Zodiac Dogmatica deck. The Drone Lockbird was a clean, floodgate, and it did ultimately allow us to win in game 2. I forgot to bring that up in the tournament report. But I think we're going to main deck it. It's a Wind monster. We can search it with Wind. We can normal summon it much like we can Ghost Mourner to help facilitate our plays. The only question is then, what goes into the side deck to replace it? We'll figure that out as time goes on. If you guys have suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support this series and support the channel, check out Imperium Duelist at the link below and use that discount code WinnerKills10 off at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. And do not forget to use my affiliate link down in the description below, because if you guys shop and check out using that link, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase goes right back into the channel, which is super, super appreciated. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week, and as always, WinnerKills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine level channel members here on YouTube: Academic Thick, Travis Harris, Zors, and Cadillacs84. Thank you guys so much for your continued support.